So hi everyone, and welcome to the first Rainmaker Marketing Market Research Insight Report, which has been released today by all our social media platforms and on our website. This particular one, we're focusing on the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal, and we're going to be looking at the year to date. But in future reports, we're going to be doing quarterly segments focusing on key regions within the country. So by way of introduction, my name is Stefan Voita, and I'm the Director of Rainmaker Marketing, and presenting this on behalf of our entire team in terms of the data that we capture with regards to the insights into areas, trends, and forecasting what's happening within the development space. So to zone very quickly into the area, the North Coast as we see it consists largely of two areas, Belita and Salt Rock. Belita being framed on the south by the Zimbali River and Zimbali Estate, and on the north by Sheffield, now stretching as far as Tinley Manor, but in terms of as far as development happens, and both the east and west of the N2. I think the biggest thing that everyone wants to know is the North Coast growing? One of the key questions that people are asked on a day-to-day basis, and this is all covered within the study, is semigration. Are people moving into KZN? The question with semigration is the term refers to people moving from different metros into another. What's quite interesting is that the Western Cape has taken a huge component of the market share in recent times. So the last 12 months, 46% of people who move metros moved to the Western Cape. KZN is currently 9%, which has stayed relatively stable, and it's got to do with some of the macro factors without a shadow of a doubt in terms of recent elements such as flooding and looting and all those factors that we're still recovering from as a province. But the really positive news is that a huge component of that semigration is happening to KZN is moving to the North Coast. What is really fascinating is that within KZN, 77% of people who are moving within KZN are moving onto the North Coast of KZN. So in addition to the 77% of people who are moving onto the North Coast from within KZN, you're also getting 12% of people moving from Gauteng, 5% from the rest of South Africa, and 6% in Western Cape, largely driven by the attributes of climate, location, facilities, amenities, and proximity to the airport. And those are all fundamental factors that ensure that growth continues year in and year out. So one of the key metrics is population growth. And one of the things we've seen since 2011 is the population on the North Coast, Belita and Salt Rock, has more than doubled in that period. And at the moment, we're seeing that 102 adults are moving north per month, which equates to about 41 families. And we've spoken about the reasons for that, but what's probably more interesting is the fact that in those two areas, the predominant buyer category is between the age of 36 and 49. In the Salt Rock, that makes up 45% of the market, which is one of the reasons why there's such a high demand for schooling, and why schools such as Umhlali and so forth are literally bursting at the seams, and a really, really good indicator of a stimulated environment from a growth perspective. We're also seeing in terms of household income that has more than doubled in recent times. So we've seen since 2020 alone that the average household income in Belita has increased by 89% and Salt Rock by 144%, and largely driven by the new estates that we're seeing in that greater area. Within our report, what we've done is we've plotted in the last 5 years within that greater area what estates have come on board or launched in that period. And it paints a really, really interesting picture of the diversity of stock that's been introduced into the market, and also the number of developers that have made the North Coast their home and provide a landscape of offerings across the board, and really lending itself to the split that we're seeing within the different demographics and also split in the different age groups. And then in terms of the estate market itself, so 44% of the homes within Belita currently are within estates, and 57 of those in Salt Rock are within estates. And you'll see within Salt Rock is a very, very close concentration of estates like Zulami and Seaton and Iledi and so forth that are quite concentrated in an area, which makes up that 57%. A capital appreciation perspective is what we all want to know. We want to know, is the market moving, which it clearly is from a segregation perspective and from a growth within the area. The factors support it, but what's happening within estates? And at the moment, that if you're looking at Belita or Salt Rock, the sectional title sales or within estates are exceeding those outside of estates by 48 and 49% respectively. And the price premium that you're seeing in terms of homes is between 10 and 15% for those that are within estates and those that are outside of estates. Interesting enough is that the volume of freehold homes sold within estates exceeds those outside of estates by 150 to 200%, which gives you an indication, and we've broken this down in the study, but an indication of how big the demand is within managed secure estates, specifically on the North Coast. And I think that is obviously what's driving the momentum. What we've done is we've done a year-on-year performance of different estates within the area, and we've shown the capital appreciation. Some have shown significant year-on-year growth, and the positive thing is that all the estates that we have featured have shown growth in excess of 7 or 8% per annum in terms of either capital appreciation on land or homes or on sectional title stock. And some of the developments are showing up to 25% growth over a period of time, obviously based on the variety of stock that they've launched, which is all hugely encouraging, despite factors that we're seeing in the market currently in terms of high interest rates and other factors that we need to consider in the market. And then I think the most important thing is to look at volume. And volume really defines what's happening in the market. And what we've seen consistently is that every single year on the North Coast, the volume of transfers in terms of turnover have increased year on year by about 20%. We saw a dip in 2022, and that had a result of interest rate rising post-COVID. We also had the backlash of COVID and so forth, but we've seen a pretty good bounce back. And in the last 12 months, we saw 1,410 transfers happening on the North Coast, and we saw a total value of transfers of close to 5 billion, which is not too far behind a peak that we saw in 2021, which is pretty much as a result of the lowest interest rates we've seen in 40 odd years. So all in all, lots of positives. Yes, as a province, KZN has had challenges. We can't shy away from those. The raw deal came in terms of weather. We saw closure of the M4, which had quite a big access issue into the North Coast and still is. Hope to open before the end of the year. But we've also seen some really, really positive infrastructural elements happening. We've seen road upgrades that have been done largely by developer contributions in and around the area. We're seeing a new interchange at Sheffield, which has been approved and will be commencing during the course of 2024. We've seen the announcement of the 2.2 billion rand Club Med, which is one of the most significant tourism projects the country's ever seen, and the impact that will have on the international airport in terms of new airport routes coming into KZN, local and international tourism, and just stimulating economic development. And then we've got privately managed water on the North Coast. We've got privately managed precincts. We've got urban management organizations that are working with the public sector. And we've got a really, really organized business community through the Chamber of Commerce. And what we've done in the study is we've broken down all these facets into statistics that we believe you'll find really, really valuable and hopefully give you really good insight, whether you are a stakeholder, a business owner, investor, an agent, or just someone who's more interested in the North Coast. And we look forward to sharing a lot more with you. But please download it off our website, look at our social media platforms, and hope you'll find the information really insightful. Thanks very much. Cheers.